Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch with me, Rob Plumbridge, and the dream team are back. It's Daryl Carter and Andrew Mount is back off a very well-deserved break. We've got a cracking week to look forward to, but before we all that, we'll just have fire in a few of the winners from last week. Massive shout out to Daryl Carter, who tipped Safe Voyage at 12-1, who was so unlucky not to win. Far too Daryl. Place money though, but he probably should have won. And then there were two winners for myself over in Ireland. We had Luxembourg won at 7-2 for the Irish Champion Stakes, and then Jadumi followed up shortly after that. And then Kinross came in for me and Daryl, very, very comfortable under Frankie Dettori. This week we've got nine live races from Newbury and Ayr. It's Gold Cup day at Ayr. So let's get cracking. The first race is the 120 at Ayr. It's the Virgin Bet handicap. And let's say a warm welcome back to Andrew Mount. Andrew, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, good to see you guys. So yeah, glad you've been firing the winners and getting some good play selections in my absence. Takes the pressure off.
That's sarcastic.
What have you got?
Good not. Don't be so sensitive, Daryl.
What have you got for us in this, Andrew?
This a bit of a tricky one. There was a short list of sort of three really. Shalia, David Amara, who's an autumn horse who came good last time out after catching the eye on a few occasions before then. Revich, who's one I tipped up at York last time, had what turned out to be a poor draw, didn't run badly in the circumstances. And that one actually runs at Ayr today on Thursday. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Won the race last year, and Cruyff was placed in this race last year. Cruyff Turn, sorry, was placed in the race last year. I thought he could go well again, but I'm going to go with Shalia, who, if you just look at his form in the autumn, it's far superior to his summer figures, and I thought he could be the one of the Amara pair.
Yeah, okay. David Amara for Andrew. Let's say hello to Daryl Carter for the first time. Daryl, what have you got for us?
I had a short list of two.
Okay.
I had Koi, who's at the top of the market around 5-1. Hood first time. I thought he ran well behind a subsequent winner in Atrium at Newbury last time. Despite the fact that Connor Planis is quite an experienced apprentice, I thought he gave him quite an apprentice type of ride, if that makes sense. I didn't think he really got hold of him and really gave him a strong finishing ride. And he stayed on again at the finish once he was headed. So I think there's more to come from him. He's been knocking about in some good three-year-old races this season. Takes on more exposed horses today. I think he's going to definitely have a good chance in this. And Redarna is the other one. Redarna's far too big a price. Should not be the 14-1 you can get about Redarna. Yeah. 6-time winner here, 67% strike rate. That's remarkable. This horse had a fantastic season. Been mixing in some really top class handicaps. Didn't run at all badly on the front end of the pace in the Ayr Gold Cup last time. Was just headed by Jungle Cove from Ireland, who was obviously well handicapped and benefited from the strong pace up front. Redarna returns to Ayr today. I think he's won at this meeting for the last 3 years. He's off a mark of 94, which is only a few pounds higher than last year when he won at this meeting. I think he's got a big chance. James Sullivan back on board. Like I say, drawn well at stall 5. He loves this track. Redarna, he's just had a fantastic year so far. So they're the two for me. If you want me to push for do you know what? If they're 5-1 and 9-1, or 5-1 and 10-1, then I'm going to back them both, and I will tip them both as well in the column if they're that price on the day.
Yeah. Are you happy with Koikoi's price at 5s?
Yeah, 5-1 I would be. Yeah, 5-1. I'm more than happy at 5-1. He's just the unexposed horse at the top of the market that's still got a bit more to come. I think he's had excuses for a couple of his runs this season. I mean, he beat the very smart base player at Newmarket with a strong finishing effort. That's a stiff track that to stay a mile. So he's definitely going to stay. And I just feel that there was excuses last time. Ben Curtis on board now. I think he's going to have a big chance. I'm going to back the pair of them.
Very nice. Really like that. Yeah, I can see the case for both of those. And Koikoi's a worthy favourite. I think he opened up at 100-30, and then now he's out to 5-1, which looks fairly reasonable. I'm going to put up against my better judgment a very, very small each way tickle on Eldrickjones based on his 2-year-old form, slipping down to a really quite a good looking mark now. And I'm just hoping that Roger Fell can get him back to anywhere near near that form, and he can make a play off a basement mark of 88. But it'll be a very, very small play, which takes us on to the 140 at Newbury. It's the Dubai GT3 Legacy Cup Stakes. It's a Group 3. Godolphin and Mob handed here. They have the top 3 in the market. Are you with or against the boys in blue, Daryl Carter?
Oh, certainly with. I think this is between the 2 at the top of the market, Siskani and Dubai Future. I know Siskani disappointed here on his only visit, but I would probably forgive that. It was 15 days after his Old World Cup win, and that was a tough race. I'd quite easily forgive him that. The Kempton one at the Kempton defeat is a bit tougher to forgive, if you like. But it might have just been the fact that it was at the end of a long season. He's a bit fresher this time around. He's been over in Maidan where he had Dubai Future behind, and he was over in Saudi where he had Dubai Future behind. Now, those runs came over at mile 6 and mile 7. So you can probably argue that drop back in trip is definitely not in his favour, but I think it is. The first one was a steadily run affair. He sprinted away, so he's definitely got a smart turn of foot. And I just think he's relatively lightly raced for his age. I think there's more to come from him. I would have thought that Adam Kirby would have had the choice. I know they're different trainers.
Yeah.
But he did ride Dubai Future last time out at York, where he was slightly unlucky, I thought. But I think Siskani's just. I did write my notes before the declarations came out. I said if it comes down to picking between these two, I just genuinely think that Siskani's the better horse. He's the stronger horse, the faster horse. So I think 11-4 is more than fair. I think. The 2 at the top of the market are probably still slightly on the up, whereas a lot of these, you could argue, on the downgrade. Yeah,
no, really like that. How about you, Andrew?
Definitely have to take on Dubai Future. Sideburns has got a shocking record in this race. He had an 11-10 on favourite, finished last of 6 several years ago. Whole host of horses in single figures getting chinned. And, Siskani, I would prefer the pair, but I think the winner could come from one at a bigger price. Shame the ground's dried up for Fancy Man, because he's a fantastic horse when he's had polytrack or good to soft or softer turf. 10 runs, 4 wins, 4 places, a couple of 5th places. The latest of those 5ths coming at a big price in a 17-runner handicap. I tipped him up in Racing Football Outlook when I was writing the column on Monday. When it was looked out the window, it was chucking down with rain. They were calling it soft, I think, at Newbury, but it's probably going to be closer to good on Saturday. I'd like to watch what happens on Friday, what happens with the weather, and maybe have a nibble at 14-1 if there's any juice in the ground for Fancy Man. The other one that's interesting is Max Vega, who goes well in the spring and autumn, absolutely useless in the summer. You look at his record over a mile or further outside of the June, July, or August period. It's 5 runs, 3 wins, 2 seconds. One of those seconds by a neck at 18-1 on his racecourse debut. A run that was no doubt needed. So 20-1 Max Vega was the way I was going to go. Solid Stone, I'd respect last year's winner. Stout's got a good overall record in the race. Kempton wouldn't have suited last time out by all accounts, and perhaps neither did Ascot the time before. You look at his record in small fields of 9 or less on turf away from Ascot is very, very good. So I thought there was a lot of depth to the race. Actually, it's quite encouraging to see what is not usually the best contested Group 3 attracts such a good field. But if you pin me down to one, I'll go Max Vega because he's the biggest price.
Okay, nice. I was hoping you were going to say Fancy Man because interesting stat that Stall 2 has produced 6 of the last 10 winners. Just a random stat for you. But so wouldn't put you off him. Let's go forward now to Ayr for the 155. It's the Doonside Cup Stakes. Andrew, let's keep it with you. Who do you fancy here?
Interesting. Andrew Balding's got a good record in this race. He's got some groundbreaker. He's only run at 25. Was best of the low draws, where 25-1 fourth in the Gareth Gates or the Golden Gates handicap, if you like, at Royal Ascot. He's a keen sort. I thought it was a big field, and so Daryl's telling me it's a non-runner groundbreaker.
Yeah, not been declared.
Not declared yet.
All right, so forget about that. But would have won, and
would have won.
So there was another interesting angle of this race is that it tends to go to a horse who races up at the pace. Hold-up horses have won from 36 in the last 10 years. That's 9 renewals because it was abandoned in 2017. So look for those who tend to sort of race on or near the pace. But yeah, in the absence of my my groundbreaker not going now, I'll hand over to Daryl.
So,
yeah, I thought that Phantom Flight was again. I thought a lot of these were here for the day out in terms of the two Goldie runners right at the bottom of the market. Keith Dalglish's Good Show. I would just bear in mind with a couple of with the likes of Good Show won on debut. I'd just bear in mind with him that he was entered in a listed race before, down the line perhaps, and he might be one for a handicap later on. I thought the likes of Stormy Antarctic, Yukon Glen, this is a trip too short for him. Marie's Diamond could probably go well, pretty solid. Has one here at Ayr, 50% record. Dark Moon Rising, this is calmer waters for him. But he does really need to sort of bounce back. He hasn't really shown enough. I thought Royal Champion was the each way bet into nothing. I thought Phantom Flight was the most likely winner on the back of that excellent York win. The time figure of that race was just electric. He was really, really good there. He's going the right way. He's improving all the time. And a few of these horses, like Phantom Flight, for example, is on the up, whereas a lot of these horses are on the other way down. Royal Champion is not one of those that's on the way down. He's probably not the strongest finisher over this trip, but I can see him running into a place, and he might, if the favourite underperforms, he might just give him something to think about, but it wouldn't be a confidence selection.
fair enough. I think I'll have to put up Phantom Flight here. I thought it was the standout bet of the week for me. I was just so taken on that performance at York. I thought just the way he stayed on, it was just so strong. The further he went, the better he got. I thought put that up as a pretty confident selection this week, which takes us down to Newbury now. This is the Dubai International Airport World Trophy Stakes. It's Group 3. Our old friend Tiz Marvellous, the Beverley Bullet winner, is back again. Andrew, are you sticking with him or are you against him?
We know he goes well at this time of year, but I think you prefer a stiffer track. You look at all that form at sort of Ascot and Beverley and the likes. At 4-1, I can quite happily take him on. I thought Manakan could go well, but he was short enough. The one I liked was Lookout Louis, who I think has gone under the radar. I don't know what price you've got there, Rob, but I think
20-1 he is.
20-1.
Unbelievable price.
My theory about him is that he hates York. I wrote him up in my GG Catches column this week.
Yeah,
he's had 4 runs there, 5th, 7th, and a couple of duck eggs. A combined margin of defeat of 40 lengths, which is some going for a sprinter who's often been running there on sort of good or quicker ground. He bounced back from a York defeat to score in May at Chester, and again, his 11-1 win over Corker last time out also came on the back of a York defeat. So you look at his turf record for Julie Camacho away from York: 1st, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd, 2nd, 1st, 1st. 5 wins, 5 places, 10 starts. 20-1 each way. I don't think he'll look out of place in this field. He's very much on the up, a really progressive horse coming through the handicap ranks, and I don't quite see why he's so big. He's not ground dependent. And worth a couple of quid each way, I think.
Lovely, nice big price at 20-1. Daryl, how about you?
Yep, totally agree with Lookout Louis. I can't believe he's a 20-1 shot.
Sure.
He beat Manakan at Chester on 2 starts back. He was drawn in stall 10, and he beat Manakan at Chester, and he won it going away.
Actually, Daryl, that day at Chester, it was a massive advantage to be wide because of the inside rail being dead. So I thought Lookout Lou was flattered that day, but I think he was just so superior to won from anywhere. But,
he's definitely on the upgrade. I mean, his latest win at Haydock when he beat Corker, it was a career best time figure for him. I think he's been underestimated because he's a 6-year-old, and because that they I don't know, maybe they thought he was flattered on the front end at Haydock last time on fast ground. I don't know, but like Andrew said, you take away those 2 York performances. He beat Count D'Orsay again at Chester. He goes very well there. But he's also got one of the best pieces of form in the race when a length defeat to Twilight Calls at Newmarket, who's rated 111. That puts him right in the mix here. 20-1 is absolutely madness.
you can get 18-1 5 places with Skybet if you can be on.
And I was concerned at first about him because King of Stars was in here. And I thought, they're going to end up taking each other on up front. But King of Stars has defected from the race. He's not been declared.
No.
So there's not a there's not really any pace pressure other than the other horse that I think it might be worth having a couple of quid on, which is A Day to Remember, who I don't know why it's taken Patrick Owens this long to drop this horse back to 5 furlongs. She clearly does. It's day 6. She hasn't stayed 6th in her entire career. She got a great piece of form last year in a listed event at Newmarket behind Summergand. Tabdeed was just in front of her as well that day. She was rated 89, had absolutely no right at all to be in that race. Ran an absolute screamer. Penultimate was start at York. She was only narrowly touched off by floaters. In behind her was Galforce Mayo, who since won a listed race. And she's just not finished out her races over 6. I think dropping back to 5 could see her go well. So I think there'll probably be a prominent with her. But they're not drawn next to each other. They're drawn 12 and 3. So they might end up splitting into 2 groups here. Yeah. And you could end up having the front runners of both groups if you back the 2 of them. Lookout Louis is a mad price. I don't know what I was going to ask you, Andy, what we're missing, but I've checked the turnaround within 14 days, no problem at all. He's definitely on the upgrade. I've checked his times with everything else to see if he's up to the level. He is. Yeah, I thought Manican would be put into the top of the market wherever he went next, but I thought he was a little bit. I mean, it was visually a good performance, wasn't it, at Doncaster? Yeah. But I thought it was a little bit of a dodge race, to be honest. Equilateral bombed out. Mo Salita normally wants 6 furlongs with a bit of soft ground. I'll keep an eye on that one from an autumn campaign. Atta Girl runs a usual, 90 race at that track, being 3 lengths. King of Stars again went off too hard. I just thought it was a bit of a mess of a race. Now I know he is improving, but I don't think he's a 3-1 shot, if that makes sense. And Lookout Louis, a 20-1 shot. I can't understand that. Lovely stuff.
So agreement from the lads with 20-1 Lookout Louis. Now we go to the 2:30 Ayr. This is the Silver Cup. It's the consolation race for the gold. Tim Easterby's won this twice in the last 3 renewals. He's got 3 here with Hyperfocus, Snash, and Abago Joe. Andrew, are you with any of those, or are you looking elsewhere?
Yeah, Hyperfocus was interesting given his very high draw. If that near side rail is the place to be, then he could be in position A. But of course, the ground is drying out, and Hyperfocus ideally would need a little bit of, plenty of mud. This was tricky. The 2 that I was looking at, one of them is Aberama Gold for Keeps Dalgleish. Aberama Gold's a real autumn horse. He's got a fantastic record at this time of year, particularly with a bit of cutting in the ground or on the all weather. I think he's 5 from 10 under the conditions he's got today. He's around about 20-1. He's coming out of stall 22. And the other one I was looking at is Oso Rapido, another one who's a sort of time of year horse. He tends to come good around about late August onwards. He's had 5 runs in September, 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a 4th place. Jason Hart booked down the middle. I think he's drawn in stall 12. If that is the place to be, then he could sort of blast and go from a centre position. So ideally, you'd want to watch Friday's Bronze Cup. As we record this on Thursday, we've got a big 5 furlong handicap coming up. So sort of follow any bias from those 2 races. But yeah, Oso Rapido and Aberama Gold, the 2 on my shortlist.
Good stuff. How about you, Darren?
Yeah, Aberama Gold was the horse that I wanted to be with. I was hoping he was going to go for one of these races. He was well beat at Newcastle last time, but I would forgive that. He's been comprehensively beaten at Newcastle all 3 times that he's run there. I would not take that seriously at all, or always give it a serious run in there. Lingfield, the time before, I can write that off as well. He's got a good record here. Form figures are 2-2-5-1-3, £6 lower than when 5th in the Ayr Silver Cup 2 years ago.
He raced alone on the far side that day as well.
Yeah, he did.
Didn't aid his cause.
Worth an upgrade. And he was only narrowly touched off here at Ayr back in July by the Fav Snash. And like Andrew, I thought he was going to get better as the year went on, and his figures are suggesting he is getting better. So I was happy to give him at a price of 20-1.
Lovely stuff. A bit more agreement with Aberama Gold 20-1 for the lads. Now we go to a bit of group action, Mill Reef Stakes. Plenty of potential here. Let's stick with you, Daryl. What did you make of this?
Yeah, this is difficult because this sack here, he really could be anything. Yeah. I know he was very, very visually impressive at Haydock, and I was Hoagland's come on here and tell you that he beat a load of nothing, which he did, and the time wasn't great, but it was okay, and he did it on the bridle. Now you could argue that he had everything go his own way. He was against the rail, made all the running. He didn't really have to work for it. I mean, he's definitely not the form horse in the race. But the reason he's short at the top of the market is one, because of the visual impression, and two, because of the time figure he clocked that day.
Yeah.
The sectionals will tell you that he did okay as well. I like the other horse. To be honest, it would have been a tough choice between him and Persian Force for me if Persian Force was in there. So I'm probably going to have to stick with him. I thought the form horse was the Hannon horse, Wallop, who ran a blinding debut behind Noble Style, and the James Abraham horse, Mill Stream, who does not let the form down too bad, stepping up to 7 furlongs next time. Definitely a 6 furlong horse, but that was a hell of a debut run to be beaten 1 1/4 lengths by Noble Style. The fifth from that race has come out and won as well, and they were miles clear of everything else. So if you want an each way play in the race, I would suggest Wallop around 16 to 1, but I'm not going to get involved simply on the basis that Sakir could just bomb out, because he's one of those horses that he might be all good on the bridle, but as soon as he comes under a bit of pressure, for me, he just looks like he's a horse that might just wander around. So I wouldn't be confident backing him at 5 to 4 on what he's done. I'd happily watch him absolute bolt up, but if you do want an each way playing the race, Wallop's not a bad shout. I don't.
Lovely. Okay, Andrew, you got anything different?
Yeah, some interesting stats. I mean, just back any horse who finished first or second last time out in the last 10 years. He'd have found every winner from 39 runners, made a profit of just over a tenner. Those who finished third or worse last time, 0 from 36. The expected winners was close to 4. Hannon hasn't got a great recent record in it either. Richard Hannon Sr. did pretty well in this race, but Richard Hannon Jr. has had a lot of horses beaten off at short prices. I thought maybe it might be one race too far if it should have been a ring. I wasn't particularly confident on the race, but there was 2 I was semi-interested in. Charin for the Roger Varian yard.
Yeah.
His sire's got a good record in this race. Dark Angel, 2 wins and 2 seconds from 9 runners. And the Clive Cox runner as well, Heroism, who was a winner at Salisbury on debut. And again, in the last 10 years, he's had 3 runners in the race. He's won it twice with Wings of War last year and with Harry Angel several years ago. And he also had a 33 to 1/4. So his runners have done well in this. I'll go Heroism over Charin, but it's not a race I wanted to get involved in financially.
Yeah, I agree with you, Heroism. I think Clive Cox is really good at with his 2-year-olds going out second time out this year. He's obviously won it, like you said, he's won it twice in the last 6 years. Does really well with this type. And Hello Dearer, who he beat last time, has just gone out and won. That was in a class 4, so he's obviously going to have a massive bit of improvement. But I thought 8 to 1, it was worth a little play to find out if he is good enough.
Yeah, with it being 2-year-olds as well, those who have 1 or 2 runs could find plenty of improvement to beat those who've been on the go all season. Really. Yeah,
100%. I was disappointed to see Persian Force come out, but there we go. We go back to Ayr now. It's group action again. It's the Firth of Clyde Fillies Stakes. Andrew, what have you got here?
Yeah, there's an interesting draw stat with this race. If you go back 11 years, which is 10 renewals, because the meeting was abandoned in 2017, you could just back all those drawn in stall 8 or above. You'd have found 7 of the 10 winners and made a profit of £54.50. Now, the expected number of winners was only 3. So, certainly if, the earlier racing is suggesting that you want to be drawn to the middle to high, then, perhaps, give extra, thought to those drawn a little bit high. Bit of a shame that Poetic Union's in 4. I thought she did too much too soon at Salisbury last time out in that Juliet Sierra race. Everything was winning wide, coming wide in that race and challenging from off the pace. Those who were prominent towards the inside rail, all finished well beaten. And so, although she was only 9th that day, but I think that was a run you could, at least forgive, or even perhaps upgrade slightly. So she's about 20 to 1, I think, which is sort of semi-interesting. I went through all those drawn 8 or higher, trying to sort of make cases for those other than the favourite Queen Me.
Yeah.
She's 7-4, but you could argue she was flattered at York last time out. She's finished second to Swing Along at 20-1. But she was well drawn that day. 3 of the first 4 home were drawn in double figures. She came out of stall 12. She did come off the pace, unlike the other 4 in the first 5. But then Maria Bramwell, who was poorly drawn and also came from off the pace, didn't do a great deal for the form at Salisbury. So I'm sort of umming and ahhing about her. She's the kind of horse that if I was having a place spot, I'd stick her in, but I certainly wouldn't back her at 7-4. So I'll go Poetic Union, despite slight concern about that stall 4 draw. But it was another race that I was just struggling with, to be honest.
A little bit, yeah. I was the same. Daryl, have you got a strong opinion on this or not?
Well, it's not really a strong opinion. I thought Bonnie Angel should be a little bit shorter. Well, there is a form line that ties the two together through Swing Along. It was behind Bonnie Angel when they ran behind Trillium at Newbury at Newbury back in July. She's improved with the last 2 starts. Last time out, she was really, really impressive. But yeah, I didn't really like the race, in all honesty. But I thought the most likely winner might be Bonnie Angel, but I just don't like the race.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we move very swiftly on to the Dubai Duty Free handicap. This is the 325. This is wide open. We've got 2 Godolphin horses at the top with Warren Point and Ottoman Fleet. Daryl, let's stick with you. Have you got a stronger opinion in this race?
Well, Groundbreakers in here, but I can't believe he's gone up £7 for 2 defeats, 6 and 7 lengths defeat last time out. I had him on my radar for most of the season, thinking, I'm going to wait, and now he's at 99. I'm just not really interested. I thought Warren Point was the most likely winner. This, I thought he was actually flattered at Goodwood, coming from well off the pace, but I think he was quite impressive at Doncaster. I thought he was comfortably on top of Special Envoy at Newmarket. I think he's improved with every single run. I think he's getting the hang of things now. I don't think we've seen the best of him. And they considered going to the Great Voltige with him, but they opted to go with Secret State, who's obviously rated 111. They must have seen what the handicap had done. I mean, I don't know what their thinking was really, but the fact that they've chucked him back in another handicap suggests to me that they think they've still got something to offer in handicaps. Well, handicap. So I think he's improving all the time. I think this is his trip. I know the Great Voltage is over a mile 4. They were considering going back up and trip. I don't think they should. I think this is his trip, and I think he'll take all the beating. I think honestly, if there's a group horse that's going to emerge out of this race, I think it's going to be Warren Point. So yeah, it'd be for me.
Oh, lovely. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, tricky one. I did look at Lawn Ranger, thinking stall 1 might be able to get an easy lead, but his wins do tend to come in smaller fields, and I was a bit worried about if I got the right race there for Lawn Ranger. So I think I'll look at tomorrow's race. Pistoletto was one a bit like the horse I was talking about earlier, Max Baker. So who tends to come good in the spring and autumn. You look at his sort of June, July, August form as the opposite of Mr. Wagyu, completely useless. But you strip out those runs, look at his record over a mile or further. He's 4 wins from 13 starts, and he's showing a good profit and plenty of placed efforts in for the defeats as well. So I was just hoping Nicola Curry could just sort of sneak Pistoletto around the inside, get into it from off the pace, and hopefully there was a good gallop on. So Groundbreaker I mentioned for that Ayr race, tongue-tied for the first time, a horse who can take a keen hold, and hopefully we'll get a good pace to aim at as well, and it could be on the premises late. But I'll go with 20-1 Pistoletto. That'll do for me each week.
20-1 Pistoletto for Andrew, and that takes us to the final race on our card. This is, of course, the Ayr Gold Cup. A real big puzzle, and one I expect Andrew Mount will relish this type of race. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I'm just looking at what's happened in that first big field sprint at Ayr. That's just finished. Triple J winning at 12-1 from stall 12. I didn't really catch the full race, but I don't know if there's a great deal in it, but we'll have the Bronze Cup before we get to come to this. I'm a bit gutted because my Magical Spirit anti-post pick is not running, which is a bit of a shame. But there was a couple of other Kevin Ryan horses that I quite liked. Ali's Dancer, drawn stall 1 on the far side. And the ground they're saying is good to soft in places. But when he's had a sprint race with the ground on the soft side of good, he's won 4 from 4. I know he was favourably drawn when he was placed last time out. But I still think Ali's Dancer 33 to 1 fair enough. And Giz a Sub, a horse I liked for that York race last time out. He was wearing first-time cheap pieces, which is a positive angle for Kevin Ryan handicappers when Kevin Stott's on board. He was very well backed at massive prices early doors, went weak late on, and some people thought he was given a bit of a questionable ride. That was his first run since being gelding as well. And when you look back, you think, yeah, maybe that was just a sort of a prep for this, and this was the main target. So I'll go Giz a Sub over Ali's Dancer, both trained by Kevin Ryan.
Yeah, not a bad angle. Daryl, are you going for a Kevin Ryan, or seems to have quite a few?
Giz a Sub was on the short list, but I didn't land on him in the end. To be honest with you, I spent about an hour and a half on this race because I wanted to take on the favourite Crown Jar, because I don't think he did a whole lot at Haydock in a steadily run affair. I thought the time before at Newmarket, I didn't think he had the speed to challenge over 6, and I didn't think he had too much left in the tank at the finish. So off of under a £5 penalty, I kind of wanted to take him on.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I genuinely, I know it's the Ayr Gold Cup, I genuinely couldn't find a bet. I backed one Le Pins last time at Doncaster. And I thought Frederick Larson was looking down a couple of times, like there was an issue. But he was just outpaced, even on soft ground there. And that was him stepping up in class. And I just think that he's going to be run off his feet in this. He might get a. No, I can't back him. I honestly couldn't find a bet. Honestly, I know that's very disappointing. Yeah, but honestly, I couldn't find a bet. I nearly settled on Chief of Chiefs. I was looking at Gulliver, who ran really well last time over at the Curragh. I thought Comanche Falls could still even have a chance off this mark. A lot of big weights have done well in this race. Summergan's interesting. Bielsa has dropped back down to a pound higher than last year, which is obviously interesting. I thought he ran okay at Chester, but I thought his last couple of runs have been prep runs. I think they've had this in their mind for a long time. For Dream, I think on soft ground, I thought 5,000 to 1 was interesting, but then I watched back the race last year, and there's a dip at Ayr, so they come downhill, and then just before the 2 furlong pole, there's a slight dip, and that's when horses normally quicken. So for a lot of horses coming from off the pace, it's very difficult. It's the wrong time really to be trying to make a challenge. So that's why you find a lot of the time, sometimes that a lot of the time that the pace can hold up and horses can just last out. And I just couldn't come down on a horse. I thought Lucky Man had a chance on the back of his York win, but Mutagali, I nearly came down on it. I just ended up finding. I always do this whenever I find a race where I fancy too many horses in it. I just tend to walk away from it because I'm probably going to be wrong.
Yeah.
No bet, boys. Sorry.
Hey, no, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I agree with Andrew. The Kevin Ryan angle is a good one. He's obviously won it 5 times in the last 15 years. And I'm going to put up Bielsa to go back to back. He won it really cosily last year. He's only a pound higher. And like you were saying, Daryl, those runs that he has been having look like prep runs. He's had a bit of a break, a bit of a freshen up. I mean, I could see him going at least close here. And I thought he wasn't too bad a price at 12 to 1 each way. A lot of the bookmakers will be doing those enhanced place terms, I'd imagine, Sky Bet, so you'll be able to get some decent place terms, I think. So yeah, Bielsa would be a good each way bet for me in this. That now takes us to the any more for any more. Daryl, I know this is your favourite segment. Have you got anything else from anywhere else?
Yeah, 316 Equiano Springs is back on the Rolly Mile at Newmarket. Yep. Me and Andrew both tipped that horse last time on the July course, which won. And at the time, I think we were both thinking that we would prefer it to be on the Rolly Mile. So Equiano Springs, I'm going to keep that horse on side until he's beaten at Newmarket, I think. King of Jungle in the 5:10 at Newbury is a horse I like. He hung down the camber on his first attempt at 7 furlongs at Epsom, finished really strongly. Back on a flat track over 7 furlongs. He's definitely worth a couple of quid in the 5:10. That would be about it, mate.
Lovely stuff. Andrew, how about you?
Yeah, Equiano Springs that I tipped up in Racing and Football Outlook this week in the 360. As Daryl said, he's 4 from 4 across the 2 Newmarket venues, and he's drawn 12 of 12. It's going to be crowding on the rail that gets him beat, if anything. I think he's a strange one, being by Equiano. He doesn't seem to like soft or heavy ground like most of that size offspring. Good or quick is absolutely perfect for him. Brazen Bolt for the John Quinn yard, the 4:45. I think they've changed the race time to now at Ayr. You could back all Quinn runners at Ayr over the years and make a profit. And I thought he won with more in hand than the 3/4 of a length margin suggested at Epsom last time out, and he has won here before.
Lovely stuff. And all that is left is for me to get your naps, gents. So Andrew, we'll stick with you. What's your nap?
Equiano Springs in the 3:16 at Newmarket.
Lovely. Daryl, how about you?
Let's go Redarna. Redarna. I'm going to back them both, but Redarna's the bigger price.
In the 120.
Right bet for Redarna. I can't see him out of the throne.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. I'll go with Phantom Flight in the Deanside Cup. I think he just wins that race. I mean, that's everything this week. As always, a huge thanks to Daryl Carter and Andrew Mount for their selections. Thanks to you for watching. Best of luck with your bets this weekend, and we'll see you next week.